So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 7 versus the iPhone XS, the newest kid on the block, versus now the cheapest budget iPhone you can get in the iPhone 7. Let's begin with a boot up test. 3, 2, 1, and this kind of replaces that cheaper iPhone entry from the iPhone SE. So, and you actually get a bigger screen for around the same price as that device was, but you start at 32 gigabytes, and that's actually more than the iPhone SE that was about the same price for 128 gigabytes. So every iPhone actually has gone up a little bit, including the 7, which beats the iPhone XS on the boot up test. So just like the 7 Plus beat the XS Max, for some reason, these newer iPhones just aren't booting up as fast as these older ones did. All right, so let's quickly test Touch ID versus Face ID. 3, 2, 1. You can see the iPhone 7 very fast on Touch ID. You can actually pull this out of your pocket without even looking at the phone, and it goes through. So I think one of the things we miss about the older iPhones is Touch ID. I think Apple could have easily put this on the back of their iPhones, but they want you to go with all Face ID. So let's test out Face ID. 3, 2, 1. And you can see you have to swipe up. 3, 2, 1. And you got to swipe up. So you can turn on raise to wake, so you don't have to use the power button like I'm using. But still, it's a 2-swipe process. Whereas on Touch ID, it's just simply hit the home button and you're in. So I think Touch ID is still the faster solution, although Face ID does authenticate with apps and it is a more secure solution, but still Touch ID is faster. We're doing a speed test here. Okay, so who wants to take a photo on the lock screen? You know those moments when you just got to pull out your phone and you got to use this lock screen swipe camera? We're going to test those right here. 3, 2, 1. You see the iPhone 7 a little swifter. Let's turn the phone off, turn it back on. And the iPhone 7 a little swifter again over the XS, but it's not like a huge difference. It's probably not going to make you miss that photo on either, but for real, the iPhone XS should be faster considering it's a brand new phone, but it's not there on the lock screen camera. Okay guys, so we arrived at the application portion of the speed test. On the left, we have an Apple A10 Fusion chip, 2 gigabytes of RAM. This guy has PowerVR Series 7 XT plus 6-core graphics. Over here on the right, Apple A12 Bionic 4 gigs of RAM and a 4-core GPU. Don't get it confused. A 6-core GPU is not as efficient and fast as this 4-core GPU on the XS. Everything is closed out for the right. Everything is closed out for the left. Let's begin with calendar, and you can see calendar is about the same. Let's go into calculator. You can see a little bit to the XS coming home. Let's go into clock. You can see slightly to the XS. Let's go into Twitter. And you can see Twitter is first on the right. Let's go ahead and come over here. And scrolling speeds do seem to be rather similar. Let's go into Snapchat. 3, 2, 1. And you can see Snapchat was slightly like milliseconds to the iPhone XS. Let's go into Instagram. And you can see Instagram looks to be first on the right. Let's go into my page, and you can see right here, scrolling about the same. Let's go ahead and open up a photo. And you can see that looks like the XS. Let's do that one more time on a different photo. 3, 2, and 1. And you can see the XS a little bit faster in Instagram once you're actually in the application. Let's go into WhatsApp. And you can see WhatsApp first for the XS. Let's go into YouTube. And you can see YouTube might be ahead for the XS here. And let's go to trending. And you can see a little bit like milliseconds to the right. Let's go into Amazon Prime Video. And it looks like the XS might have to jump here again over the 7. No, but the 7 catches up and takes that win. Let's go into Jaws here. Similar stuff. Coming home, let's go into Amazon. And it looks like those apps seem to respond a little first to the touch here on the XS. And the 7 caught up pretty easily though. Let's go into eBay. And you can see eBay is first for the iPhone 7. Let's go into Slither. Here's where the XS should pull ahead over the 7, and it does there for that first Slither application. Coming home, let's go into Jetpack Joyride. 3, 2, 1, and see which one could get into this game first. And it looks like we have a win to the XS quite easily over the iPhone 7. So for gaming, this should be a big update. Let's go into Dead Trigger 2. You can see the XS should win this, and it does. And here comes the 7. So not bad for the 7, but the XS is ahead here in the gaming department. Let's go into PUBG Mobile. 3, 2, 1. And I will skip through this until we get to the actual match screen. All right, so we've arrived at the match screen, and let's go ahead and start a match. The iPhone XS was actually first to the match screen, so you'll be playing PUBG Mobile first on the XS. You'll be in the game first over this one on the left, and it looks like you'll easily be into a match first. So when the graphics demand the GPU, here is where the XS becomes worth your money over an iPhone 7. But it's not like you can't play these games on an iPhone 7. You definitely can. The XS is just going to do it milliseconds or maybe a couple of seconds, actual seconds faster than the 7. But you got to make up your mind if that matters to you. What about Antutu Benchmark? Because not everybody's going to be playing games on mobile that look like the XS. Let's go into a Geekbench. And Geekbench is first for the iPhone 7, and there is the XS. Let's go into Speed Test, and you can see Speed Test is open slightly to the XS. Let's go into iMovie, and iMovie is first on neither. It looked like about the same. So let's go into the camera and see which one can open the camera first. 3, 2, 1. And you could see from the home screen, at least, it looked like the iPhone XS opened that camera first. So let's go into the next application, which is going to be Video Shop. 3, 2, and 1. And you could see that is the iPhone XS over the iPhone 7. So that's about it for the single round. It looks like the XS won a lot of these tests, but the 7 won quite a few as well. The XS seems to just be faster when it comes to the gaming row over the iPhone 7, which in the basic task, iOS 12 keeps up easily on the 7 with the iPhone XS. Okay, so here is my multitasking test. We're gonna just go through the iPhone 7 to see if we get any reloads on any application. And going into iMovie, iMovie seemed to reload there. Speed Test was good. What about Antutu Benchmark? That's a reload for the 7, and it held PUBG Mobile. And we have a slight pause there for Dead Trigger. Jetpack Joyride paused a little bit. So far, not looking amazing, but still pretty good. You could see Slither had the reload right there for the 7. Let's go into eBay. That paused a little bit. You can see on Amazon, a reload there for Amazon. What about Prime Video? Another reload there. So the 7, for some reason, not holding these apps as well as the 7 Plus did in my prior speed test. You can see that YouTube had the reload. WhatsApp has the reload too. Instagram reloading here for the 7. Snapchat with a reload as well. Let's go into Twitter. So yes, this 2 gigabytes of RAM is not holding up too well here for the 7. Clock reloaded as well. Calculator was fine. And what about Calendar? That looked okay as well. But man, most of those apps reloaded. That was kind of shocking for the 7. Let's go into the XS. You can see that's got that. Camera, it looked like it had to open camera again. iMovie had to reload that. What about Speed Test? Geekbench. Now for $1,000, this thing better not reload anything. And Antutu. Let's go into Dead Trigger 2. Pause that a little bit. Jetpack Joyride. Slither. Slither had a Slither open. eBay. Amazon. Prime Video. YouTube. WhatsApp. Instagram. Snapchat. So yes, it's definitely clearly ahead when it comes to the RAM management over the iPhone 7. 2 gigabytes of RAM. Well, the 7 Plus had 3 gigabytes of RAM in my test. So 2 gigabytes of RAM versus 4 gigabytes of RAM is a definite upgrade from the 7 to the iPhone XS. Okay, so let's do a quick internet speed test beginning with apple.com. 3, 2, 1. And see, the iPhone XS did load that first. Let's go into a page. The XS a little bit ahead there. So I think the XS is going to feel a little bit faster in most areas than the iPhone 7. But on day-to-day stuff, I haven't seen a huge improvement. Let's go into Bing. But it looks like its Safari internet is milliseconds of a fraction of a second faster. So if you care about that, well, then you're going to like the iPhone XS for sure. Let's go into, how about just go back to Google. 3, 2, 1. And you could see that's the XS. So the XS definitely has faster Wi-Fi speed and LTE connection speed over the iPhone 7. All right, guys, so here we go with a video rendering test. 1080p 60 clip at 45 seconds on both devices. Let's hit next at the same time. 3, 2, 1. And see which one can compile and render this video first. Now, to me, it looks like the XS is ahead, but the 7 is right on its heels. So which one can finish this first? The 7 finished that first. Wow. That's pretty impressive stuff. Let's go into iMovie. I have the same clip, and we're going to save the same video and see which one can export it first here. Just to make sure that last video test was not a fluke, let's go into save video. And let's put it in the highest 1080p resolution, 3, 2, 1. And let's see which one can export this movie first. So if the 7 does this first too, then you can basically say that video editing is not going to be a huge update here to the 10s. Wow. So the iPhone 7 rendered that first too. So now this does definitely test the CPU here in your video rendering. And I don't care if it's just a 45-second clip. This should have been faster on the iPhone XS. And in both video rendering tests right there, the XS lost to the 7. That's pretty impressive for the iPhone 7 anyway. Okay, so here are your final Antutu benchmark scores, and you have a whopping victory for the iPhone XS, 297,217 versus 126,742. Let's go ahead and run a Geekbench test, and I'll be back when we are done testing out the CPUs to see what we get on this benchmark. Okay, so you can see on Geekbench another crushing win for the iPhone XS, and these benchmarks, all they really do is test the CPU to its fullest potential, and that's where you really see how the XS is much more powerful. But when we go into the real world testing, you've seen even in the video rendering portion, the 7 was able to keep up and actually beat the XS. It beat it on the boot up. The XS was winning in the games, and I think that 120 hertz touch sample rate, you can definitely feel that on the day-to-day. The touch response for the XS feels better than the 7, but this is not the only thing to upgrade for from a 7 to the XS's speed. You've seen the 7 can hold its own, so if you're coming from a 7 to a XS, iOS 12 basically puts them at an almost equal performance in what you're really going to see when you're actually using these phones. What you want to come for is the screen upgrades, better battery life, and just being on a more modern looking iPhone. Other than that, the 7 is still a very serviceable and usable phone. That's why Apple still has it in the lineup. What are your guys' thoughts? Comment them down below. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, enjoying, do me a favor, click that like button for me. And you might want to be subscribed for the full comparison I'm going to conduct on these two very soon. I will catch you all in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.